If you have an interest in horses and love learning more about horses, the horse industry, teaching, or even managing your own horse business, then you're in the right place. We would love you to join us on our mission, which is to improve the lives of horses around the world through the education of riders, handlers, and trainers. So get comfortable, listen in, and enjoy.
This has been another episode sponsored by Online Horse College. If you haven't had a look at the wide variety of equine-specific accredited courses, then go to onlinehorsecollege.com and I'll see you over there. Our guest today is Trish Braithwaite. Trish is a jumping, eventing and dressage specialist, coach, trainer, and she's also a dressage judge. How are you today, Trish?
Great, Glenys. Thank you. How are you?
Yeah, good. Looking forward to this now. So, Trish, we normally start off with a favourite quote. What have you got for us?
Well, I did actually have a little bit of a think about that. I don't have a favourite quote per se, but you know what? Everything that comes out of the mouth of George Morris is gold.
Yes.
And I'm always really interested to see things that he says and look at the clinics that he runs and the training that he does. It's really inspiring and really fits into how I like to train too. So, yeah, I really love everything from George Morris.
Okay. Have you got something, Trish, that you find yourself saying when you're teaching again and again? You know, just something that you find yourself repeating with people.
Well, you know, I always like to bring the rider's focus back to their position, how they're sitting on the horse, and that starts with their seat. And then helping them go through a little bit of a checklist regularly when they ride about how they're sitting, they're feeling through their body. I find that's a really great thing to help them then go on to the next thing that they want to do with their horse in that moment, in that training session.
Yeah.
So, yeah, saying anything about their position is what I keep coming back to for them.
Okay, good. Trish, tell us about an early memory. You know, it might have been the first time you were with horses or just something that happened earlier on when you were quite young. You know, I'm sort of trying to think, you know, different things happen to people when they're young. What have you got for us?
I was very lucky when I was young. I didn't come from a horsey family. I was the middle child. But I guess I don't really have a memory of, but I must have really hassled my parents a lot. And I remember when I was about 3 years old, my father took me to try out sports. I think it was only a little pony, but when you're 3 years old, everything seems enormous to you. And I just jumped on its back and off I went. I had no idea what I was doing, and my father didn't know anything either. and that was the beginning of my life, really.
And so you bought the pony?
I guess the pony, I think it was 17 years young when we got there, and lived through to about 33 and took me through some pony club experiences and gymkhanas and sports days, and really got the ball rolling, and then it's been a succession of horses from since then, Yeah,
well, that's a good memory, and good that the pony was so good that you were able to have a great start with it. Yes,
very lucky.
Yeah. Now, Trish, you know, you're a professional coach. Were you always going to be a professional coach? Were you always going to have a career with horses, or did you go and do something else first? What happened?
Well, I rode pretty much constantly until I finished school, and it was very much the practicality of affording it myself and finding the time to do it as well with getting a full-time job. So it kind of went out the window for probably about 7 years after I finished school, and then I got married, and my husband then was from the country and what have you, so he was very open to me getting back into the horses, and we could afford it together. So I haven't looked back since then. I've always enjoyed riding and competing, and I never really thought about being a coach. I had started as a dressage judge before I started coaching, but it was an opportunity when I was living in Southeast Asia through the Equestrian Australia coaching program that they were running over there with Chrissy Johnson, Sue Leslie came over, and Irene Marine came over often through that program. And I just went with that and found that I do actually really enjoy teaching now. And certainly riding is my first love, but now finding that I can help other riders find their way too has been really exciting.
Yeah. What do you think if someone would like to be a coach and say they haven't got a lot of knowledge yet, you know, but they're happy to get that knowledge? What do you think they need as a core skills or character traits to get started within the horse industry or within the coaching, had to have a coaching career? Mm.
Yeah, I mean, I had to think about this, and I think it's very much depends on the person themselves. For me, it has been not just being a coach and learning those skills about coaching, also learning a lot about psychology and how to help people learn in different ways you can do that, but also developing your skills into a business and then having some business now. And I think there's not one particular area that we can go to for our training, developing our skills. I think we have to go to a few different areas to learn how to run our business as a whole as a coach.
Yeah. Well, as you're saying, the psychology and the skills are things that can be learned and should be learned, because if you're running a small business, sometimes people will go into a career, but it is a career coaching. It's not necessarily a career running their own business, but they've still got to have the career progression and, the professional development to keep going on and getting better within their career.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
And when you're a sole business operator, or like many coaches are, up to you to make sure that you're doing that professional development and guiding your own career yourself. Because nobody else is really going to do it for you.
That's right. It's not just about I want to be a better rider, but I want to be a better rider. I want to be a better coach, and to be increasing your teaching skills and your awareness, but then also to be increasing your business skills as well. Yeah,
absolutely. And we forget about that. We need to make our way in life and pay for things, and developing our business is a really important thing as well.
Yep. What do you think then is the best thing about working in the horse industry and having a business in the horse industry?
Oh, yes. Well, for me, I wouldn't give it up for the world. I don't think it's going to make any of us coaches particularly a millionaire, but being out in the environment, being out in these beautiful days in autumn in Brisbane, it's just magic. And being involved with horses all the time. I don't have my own horses anymore. People are always very surprised when I say that, but I've had my own horses all my life. But since I moved back to Brisbane in the beginning of 2009, I haven't had my own horses, but I've had access to ride my students' horses and also do some training, and that's been very important, but also been completely fine for me to not have my own horses and just, be involved in the training of my students. So, and finding the time and finding the resources financially to have your own horse. I often get asked, particularly by parents, how much should we budget? And I don't know, how long is a piece of string? When it comes to horses, I really believe that you have to be able to afford to give them everything that they need. And not just everything they need, but everything that they require to be at optimum health and happiness. So, it takes a bit of money to do that. So it's a commitment.
Yeah. And bringing in your business skills, you look at something, and I think you do get to a stage as a coach that I suppose I've been at that stage where I think I don't need a horse. I can ride students' horses. I've always got access to ride, but I choose to have my own horse. But I think you're right. I think you get to a stage where people are giving you horses. Can you ride my horse for me? Can you train my horse for me? Can you do whatever? That's right. And I think
if I was to have my own horse, I mean, that would be, how long it can take for you to train your horse every day, or maybe not every day, and that takes a lot of time away from work. Yeah, and as far as to then prioritize working, of course, as I do, and then also be sitting in the paddock, having a nice life. Not doing very much. So, yeah.
Okay, now tell us about people who've influenced you and helped you in your career. You mentioned a couple early, I think Chrissy Johnson and Sue Chandler, was it?
Sue Leslie. And also Susie Cunningham, have been really instrumental in me becoming a coach and developing my coaching skills. Susie Cunningham, Maureen have also helped me in my judging career. I've found that, my professional development in terms of my riding skills and my coaching skills, have been influenced quite a lot by them. But also becoming a judge has been the way that I've been able to get out there, not having my own horse, being involved in clubs, being involved in competitions, and seeing who's out there doing stuff. So that's been a really interesting way to do that and developing my skills as a coach, because not all my students are competitive riders, but those that are, it helps me help them find the progression and the pathway for their training.
Yep.
So that's been a really interesting thing to do. But not only that, but as part of my professional development, I try to travel every 2 years and travel overseas to go and to build my skills as a rider and as a coach. And I started off in 2012 going to Portugal and riding with Rodrigo Matos, who was formerly of the Portuguese School of Equestrian Art, and of Morgado Lusitano, and getting to know the Iberian breed through him, and also had the opportunity to play around on high-level dressage horses and having a bit of fun with that. As you mentioned in our preamble, I actually went to ride with Anne Gribbons in 2014. She's looking to be the head of the ground jury at the WEG this year, so that was really exciting to see her coming up to do that. But she had come over to Brisbane to do a judges clinic through Equestrian Dressage Queensland here, and she really made a lot of sense to me. I love the way that she explained things, and so I thought, well, that's who I'm going to go and ride with this next time that I go over. So I went a month with her in Florida.
Yep.
On little Pre-St. George horse that she found there for me to train on, and it was where I really found a real joy in terms of the way that I ride.
Yep.
And also observing her coaching skills was so interesting. But most recently I've been training with Nicole Weinager, who's near Hamburg in Germany, and she comes over a couple of times a year to do clinics here in Australia, and I go to hers 2015 and 2016, but anyway, and then I thought, I think that's who I'm going to go and train with next. So I went and spent more than a month with her over in Germany, just north of her.
Good. It's a good way to travel, to have your work-related travel, your PD, and you're still getting out and getting around and seeing the world, but you're doing it with, very much a horse focus and Trish, have you had a horse, you did quite well when you're in Asia, have you got a horse that you think has been the main one to influence you, help you in your career?
Well, I had come across this thoroughbred when I was over in Malaysia, and I think I got him for free. One of the trainers in Singapore who'd been resting in a stall for about 6 months, and he looked like a nice type. So I thought, I'll take him on. And, that must have been 2000 or 1999, and I kept him for the following 10 years, I suppose. And he was an off-the-track thoroughbred, and we went from falling over crossrail to being the one-star national champions in Malaysia. And that was an amazing experience, and I learned a lot with him because he wasn't the most healthy horse, and just trying to find a way to bring the best of his health out and help him develop in his training and stay strong. And of course the climate over there is a bit challenging with horses, so that was another aspect to be aware of. And and it was a very interesting journey to go from nothing to doing a 1.15 show jumping and cross country, and I think we didn't quite get past medium level dressage, but and I left him with a very good friend of mine in Malaysia when I left, and we had a couple of good years with her. So he was a very influential horse for me.
Do you think that winning that one-star national event in Malaysia was your proudest moment, or what do you think that is?
Well, certainly it was the most exciting time because they're developing their eventers there to go to the Asian Games in 2006. And being part of the program, even though I wasn't part of the national team, being involved in helping the riders developing their skills and us all coming along the levels together was really exciting, really competitive, and really team building. And then to go to the Asian Games in 2006, not as a rider but as a groom, and be in Doha, in Qatar, for a month, looking after the eventing horses and experiencing that over there was amazing. And one of the benefits, I guess, of being in those kinds of environments where you have access of top trainers and top courses and all of that kind of education that's a little bit more difficult to get involved with.
Yeah. Yes, for sure. I'm just thinking about the challenges that you would have faced in Asia. You said the weather's a bit difficult and, your horse wasn't as sound. What do you think, for people that are going into a different country, what do you think is the biggest challenge? Even, I suppose, to come back to Australia, what do you think is the biggest challenge? Not so much to come back to Australia, but to go into a country that you haven't been to before and become involved in the horse industry?
Yes, well, certainly being in Malaysia and being around horses in a tropical environment, it's not very horse-friendly, and you have to be very careful about monitoring horses' heat levels and stress levels and electrolytes and things like that, and the right kind of feed for that kind of environment. And, yeah, so that was interesting and very educational in terms of care, because the veterinary care for horses over there has developed a lot in the last 20 years, and seeing that development while I was there was really interesting. Going to Florida and being in a very similar environment over there, actually, seeing how the Americans handled their horse care over there. I mean, I manage myself in terms of the hot weather here with drinking a little bit of powdered Gatorade and water, and in Florida they actually feed it to their horses in their feed. It's quite cheap over there. So that was interesting. Now I just give them a scoop of Gatorade in their food, and that's their electrolytes. Yeah. And that's in a Grand Prix stable. And then being in Spain and Portugal and in the cooler climate there and seeing how, and then the Iberian horses are a different breed again, and seeing how they match their horses from day to day is very interesting. They're the various places I've been around the world. And of course, Germany. When I was there, it was terribly wet, very cold, and then very hot as well. Apparently, that's quite typical for Hamburg weather. But and then again, seeing how they had a lot of Icelandic ponies there, which is very fun to see them and be with them, and also warm bloods and and of all different kinds. And it was very interesting to experience all those different environments.
Wait. Can you hear anything? No? That's because we're waiting for someone with a good quality horse product to be advertised here. If that's you, then contact us, horsechats@horsechats.com, and we'll send you the details. Thanks. What would you say to someone who's going into another country, just as a general thing, things to look out for, things to help them if they're going into a different country, different climate, different place to work or to be involved in the horse industry? What would be your advice?
Well, I think wherever you go, it's best to get involved with good people. The places that I've been have been because of the people that I've met.
Yes.
And having a mentor and having someone to guide you and show you the way is, I think, everything. And very important to get involved with good people who are going in the way that you want to go and jump in with them. Definitely. Otherwise, you're kind of like a bit of a loose end.
Yes. It's not just getting involved with the locals, but it's getting involved with the locals that you feel you want to be mentored by so you can go and learn stuff.
Absolutely.
Yeah.
Absolutely. And getting out and about and meeting more people and different people can really help you find your way and make your own decisions about which direction you want to go with everything.
Yep. Now, Trish, I know that, you really are very good at talking about the rider's seat, and that's sort of a big specialty area there. If you go in to a new group of riders or you're going to do a clinic, what's a common fault that you see with riders and with their seat, and how can they fix that? Yeah,
well, just to start with, interesting bold moment that I had for myself was when I was training with Anne Gribbons, and I was put on the lunge for 3 days, and I found that I thought I always knew what my seat was, but I really didn't know. And I had tended to ride all my life like a jumping rider with good balance, but basically trying to affect the horse with my legs and not so much my feet at all. And that was a real powerful light bulb moment, because I was using leg and I'm like, I don't have any more leg. Where do you go to from here? And now I have found that you forget about your legs most of the time, and you ride your horse through your seat. And that doesn't mean power, that just means influence. And I see a lot of riders these days that they've had a lot of experience, but not a lot of theoretical knowledge. And they have a lot of good balance, and but they're not really aware of what they're doing. And as I was, trying to use a lot of leg and more leg and more leg, and you eventually get to the point no more leg in your poor little body to use on the poor horse. And so finding a softer, gentler, more effective, actually, the way of influencing a horse. And so helping people know what the physicality is of their seat, how to use their seat, how to involve their legs, how to involve their hands to have a complete picture of great communication through their body to the horse, and also receiving the communication back from their horse and all the little things their horses are telling them. And then, that circular current of communication is just, gives me goosebumps when I see that really working between the horses and the riders.
Yeah.
If you're an equestrian coach or a horse riding instructor, or even if you aspire to be one, have a look at the free video series for horse riding instructors on the Horse Chats website. Go there now, have a look, horsechats.com.
Okay, now what about a book? Have you got a book that you can recommend?
Oh, have I got a book? I absolutely love, and I find it's my Bible, is Suzanne von Dietz's book, Balance and Movement.
Yes. And
she explains all of these things. She's a physiotherapist and also a rider, dressage rider, and she really gets into the nitty-gritty in a very simple and effective way with lots of pictures, simple descriptions about what's the body, how to use it, how it's used, the physics, the biomechanics involved in the person's body and how it connects with the horse. And I remember thinking of this years ago, I wonder what I could do to study, how the integration between the rider's body goes to the horse's body and that continual loop of communication between each other. And she really explains all of those things in that book. And I reread it. And I have a lot of other books that I should read too, but I keep on coming back to this one.
Do you?
To remind myself of all those bits and pieces that are important. Yeah.
Good. And remember, you can find all the books recommended by our guests at horsechats.com/books. You can have a look at the guest page for the individual book they recommended, or just look at the recommended books by order of popularity at horsechats.com/books. And thinking, where are you planning on going next for your travel? Did you say?
Oh, well, yes, I have been mixing it up these last few years and going to places, but now that I've found Nicole Leinard, I think that she's the one I would like to go to and train more with.
Okay, yeah.
Yes, I'm actually hosting her clinic when she comes to Brisbane here in September, so that would be a great opportunity to get together with her again and then hopefully look at next year.
Okay.
Going back over and doing some training with her again. So, yeah.
What else are you looking forward to?
I think just getting to better weather. We've had a lot of
cooler
rain
weather,
in the beginning of this year. Yeah. Well, cooler weather, yes, and a bit drier weather for a little bit. And, getting the year going with comps out at Sanford Equestrian Group. I'm actually a committee member and run their jump clubs on a monthly basis. And doing a bit of judging because I'm a C level now, so I can judge up to and including advanced, and getting a bit more practice at my highest level, and looking to update that to higher levels in the future too. And working with my students and helping them find their progression and keep meeting their goals and doing the things that they want to do. So just getting on with it really.
Good. Now, just thinking about summing up your philosophy with horses, Trish, what would you say if you had to do it in a few sentences?
Look, it all has to be about what's best for the horse. And whenever I have a bit of a dilemma with a student or with progression of the training or what have you, I think, well, what is best for the horse? And I find myself, this is probably a little bit longer than you're working for, but looking after them from the ground up, taking care of their feet, taking care of their nutrition, taking care of their teeth, taking care of their tack, and making sure all of that works so then we can go on and do the training, and educating people about how to look after their horses. So that is what is best for the horse.
Yes.
Absolutely.
Yes. Yes, and I think it is. It's an overall thing. It's no good just coming in, doing a lesson and then finding out, that two of the shoes are sort of half off and you haven't noticed or anything like that. You do a gear check. You're checking everything. If someone's horse is underweight, you talk to them about it. Yeah.
That's right. That's right. Because training is a long road, yeah? And you have 2 steps forward, 1 step back, and sometimes it's nothing but backward steps. But eventually, you look back 6 months, 12 months, you think, well, actually, I have been making progression.
Yep.
And helping the riders understand it's not necessarily about what they want. They might be driven to be successful in eventing, or they really want to do this or that. And I think, well, you've probably not got the right horse for that. How about we find something else for you that will help you find your goals? Because this horse that you have right now doesn't really like jumping, it seems, or he's not really talented at the dressage. And if that's something that you really want to do, then perhaps you need to find a partner that's going to do that for you. Or maybe you find you really enjoy hacking out on a regular basis or doing some lower level stuff. Or it makes me think, I had a Irish sport horse mare who she loved to jump, but jumping on her terms. We did cross country once, and the second time we went to do cross country, she stopped at the first jump. She said, "Oh no, I don't do that." And show jumping courses, no problem. But if it was a bit long, out in a big field, you go, no, I don't do that. Stadium jumping was her thing.
Okay.
And dressage, I'd have to wear these rolling spurs to make a bead and do anything in the dressage. She said, "No, I don't do that either." So, trying to find and make the most of what your horse is good at and what they enjoy, and not just all about yourself.
Yes, and making sure you've got the right horse for you and you've got the right person for the horse. Yeah.
Yeah, and how wonderful is that they can go off and enjoy themselves together.
Yes, yeah. Trish, how can people contact you?
Yes, well, I have my email address is shutupandride@trishbraithwaite.com.au. My phone number is 0427 134 083. Yep. And they can also find out a bit more about me on the website, trishbraithwaite.com.au.
Good. And those details will be on our website as well, which would be horsechats.com/Trish Braithwaite, or go to horsechats.com and search for Trish. Yeah. Trish, it's been really good talking to you today, and we've already talked about you coming back and doing a little bit more depth into the rider's seat and what you're doing with vaulting and everything else, which we haven't talked about very much at all today, but we'll certainly come back and talk about that a lot more. That'll be good. Yeah, so looking forward to it, and hopefully we'll talk to you very soon. Okay, thank you.
Thanks very much, Glenys. Yes, take care.
Now, if you're still there, you probably know that I'm absolutely passionate about education within the horse industry. That's why I host this podcast. My other venture is Online Horse College. Have a look now at onlinehorsecollege.com, and I'll see you over there.
Remember that our comments and instructions are general in nature and do not take into consideration your individual horses or your individual ability and circumstances. If you enjoyed this podcast, then please leave your comment below.